So it's November 7th, opening day of trapping season. We're sitting here at 7:59. I'm ready to go. It's gonna be a long ass day, I'll tell you that. We got about 250 stops to do, somewhere in the neighborhood of 350 traps. So it's gonna be a long day. I'm already tired. it's gonna wear you out. So we're just, is it 8 o'clock yet?
I don't even know. Yep.
Perfect.
We're good to go.
Now that right there is gonna bug a lot of people. Everyone says fill that dog-proof trap up to the trigger. If you can't tell, I'm overflowing that sucker. 2 reasons. 1, it's just that much more attention when they're walking directly over the top of this. And 2, if anyone's trapped with dog-proofs before, you know mice clean these suckers out. By filling it up like this, generally once mice find it, I still have 3 days before they clean that out. Then I'm not having to stop every day and refill an empty trap once mice fill it up. If it's cleaned out by mice, I fill it up within 3 days. If I haven't caught a coon in 3 days anyway, I'm moving that trap regardless. But it's just that much less trip coming down from the truck to the trap. It's that much less energy used. More energy I can find putting out more traps in the skinning shed, anything. So anyway, we gotta get going. We're out of here. All right, keep moving. All right, here's our first 220 location. If you've seen me use these muskrat stretchers, I love them. They work so well. We got the trail comes right up here and it funnels right up through there. I'll go ahead and set my 220. I take that muskrat stretcher, compress it, and I'm going in the jaws on the inside. We'll go down a little ways. Let those open up. I'll go ahead and bend the springs up. Right down in there. Make sure you take your safeties off. And even though it's boxed in pretty good, I'll still go ahead and take a little extra grass. And that top of that muskrat stretcher, you can pull that grass through and it just makes a perfect tunnel right there. If anything comes down this trail, we're gonna have it tomorrow, that's for sure. On to the next spot. This is one of my favorite spots. I actually filmed this with my scouting trip. We got corn over here, big timber over here. I put 2 dog proofs and 2 220s here, so it's always good. Even when that was going to beans, I was catching 10 to 12. So you got to find these locations and fill in between these. These spots are what's going to be your bread and butter. Everything else in between is gravy, and you keep going from good spot to good spot, fill the roads in between. We're gonna do the 220s first. You can just tell the mudslide coming down here. Goes right down the washway and up into the cornfield. Maybe. Again, using the muskrat stretcher, compressing down through. I always put it in sideways and twist it, and then it goes in there a lot better. You're not catching as much grass and just crap that goes in there with it. I'm gonna take my safeties off. Get that grass down in through the springs, come through, fold it up through the top of the stretcher. Probably wouldn't even have to put one on the other side, but I will just because it makes me feel better. And there we go, that one's done. Something else to be careful with too, when you're setting two conibears on one side, and I didn't do it right here, but always set the farthest one first. Setting the one closest to the road, you might have a tendency to catch yourself on the way trying to run out of there. I'd be lying if I said I haven't done that before. So, but here it's a little different angle. I'll be coming up in a different spot, but you know, these suckers, you gotta watch it. And there we go. They're forced right down through that. All right, we got dog proofs on. We good? If you can tell, this is just a hellacious trail. I mean, they don't get any better than this. These are the spots you're looking for. These are the spots where I plan to pick up 6 or 7 coon, at least, potentially up to 10 or 12. But you find spots like this, and then you fill in with the little more subtle spots. You know, we only got 2 dog proofs here. I don't like setting dog proofs on a steep bank like that. We're too close to a house for me to put a 220, but a steep bank like that with a dog proof, if you give them enough chain, they get momentum running downhill. And I've actually pulled up and watched coon pull out of my dog proofs because they have that gravity and momentum and hit the end of that, and it just stops them cold, and they pull out right in front of you. So I'll put them on slopes, but nothing extreme. So we just got 2 dog proofs here. I'm gonna do what everybody has always told you not to and fill them full. Because apparently you're not supposed to do that. To me, that's 2 coon in the morning, almost guaranteed. Spots like that, they just, man, they get me excited. If I ever had to pick a spot to trap a trail, this is it. This is my favorite trail. I've actually doubled on bobcats here in 220s before, and I think I've caught at least 2 other bobcats in 220s here, and just in a coon trail, going from, right behind my cameraman, we got a nice little patch of timber with a pond and corn. On the other side, just a nice, relatively mature hardwoods. And the trail through here is just phenomenal. It's just mud, just mud. Like I showed you a little earlier, these are the ones that get me excited. Something else I'll show you too, I'm running these long anchors on all my 220s. The purpose for this, I did this as an experiment last year. And by setting them long, I set this conibear in the trail. As soon as that animal hits it, it'll pull out my muskrat stretcher, which stays with it. It'll pull it out, and gravity will take over, and it'll go downhill and flop. And then your animal's out of that trail continues working. You don't have that dead animal there, or the scent of a dead animal there to make other animals weary. They're traveling these trails. You don't want them to stop for any reason. You don't want to give them any suspicion to stop, because then they start observing your snares or your conibears. So by keeping this animal out of the trail, that animal's gonna come through there just like normal. There's nothing gonna slow it down. I think I got 5 220s on this location right now. It's just one of those spots that's just phenomenal. Grab me some grass to still put in my springs. fence them down a little bit. You just can't beat locations like these. These are just absolutely 100% perfect. They're actually going through an old tree down here, which makes things a little complicated. We'll have to just brush it in a little bit better. But that's the thing with that muskrat loop on top. I can take that grass and pull it through, and it creates a really nice funnel. Push it through. There we go. We got two 220s over here set up, ready to go. Can't wait to check this spot out tomorrow. Here's another one of these trails that, the reason I stay away from water, it's so fatiguing. And these trails are so simple, they're so easy. Literally, I mean, come down. At the very bottom trap here, I'm probably a total of 7 or 8 foot from being road height. It's just a really nice trail too, and I feel like a lot of people miss these. Everybody wants to go to water. And I get it, you catch a lot of fur in the water, but you catch a lot of big coon on these. You're gonna limit yourself to more just coon, but I can come down here, pick up these 2 coon, dispatch them, rebait, and I'm back in the truck in 45 seconds at tops. You know, I'm not running up and down some big ditches. It's just nice, simple, easy, and that's all it takes. You don't need these 30 foot down, going over all that river rock and beat the crap out of yourself. It's just not worth it. Find these nice, easy, subtle trails. They're everywhere. Timber to corn, timber to timber, find them. It doesn't get any simpler than this. And when we're trained, we're taught, find water, you find coon. And that's exactly how I did it for like 5 years. So I got some help from some people that started showing me some land trails, and then I just picked up more and more of them as I went. I started looking for those signs like I showed in one of my earlier videos. The lone power poles, the lone tree, corners. Find them, guys, they're out there. I think we're on stop like 204 right now. It's 4 o'clock on Saturday. This is gonna be our last spot. After talking over with my cameraman, we decided to call it quits a little early. We're talking 72 to 75 degree temperature tomorrow. The last 40 or so stops on this line, I would say half of them are 220s. That means those animals are going to be sitting there probably until 2 or 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon in 70 degree weather if I were to set those traps. I really wanted to push it and get this whole line out, but at some point you have to realize, why push that hard when you're risking losing what you're catching? There's a very good chance if I were to set the last part of this line, I would have a lot of fur slipping and all the traps that had dead animals in them. So it's not worth it to me. We still got a hell of a line out. I think it's right at 204 locations. I'll figure it out more when we get home, because there's a couple spots we had to skip over for bird hunters being close by. But yeah, still a hell of a day. We're gonna get these last couple set, go home, take an Epsom salt bath, and probably call it a night. After a couple beers probably, but yeah, so here we go. Fingers are starting to hurt from these dog proofs today. I think we're right at about 300 of them, so anyway, opening day 2020 in the books. Let's go.